Hello, Darth Kilhoun here. Since I was a child, I was a consumer of the medium of entertainment that is referred to as video games. In my early youth, I was given a Wii by my father as my very first console. I actively played games such as Lego video games. I enjoyed the medium because it blended thinking skills with a story structure. Video games, as to much children and many man-children these days, is a form of escapism, and I would say, looking back, was the medium of my childhood for escapism. Even if I didn't realize it at the time, one of the early games I was introduced to at the age of 9 was Halo 3. When I was young, I had a childhood friend that lived down the street. I would frequently go over to his house to play video games and build Legos. One day I came over and he was playing a split-screen game with his father, an interesting game I couldn't identify in my 9-year-old brain. This was the first time I was exposed to the two of my favorite mediums of games. It was the first time I was exposed to the first-person shooter format, which was a genre I was craving at the time, since my mind subconsciously sought realism to a point. Playing a game with the same eyes fascinated me. At the same time, I was a fan of the science fiction genre in the forms of Star Wars and Star Trek. So when I discovered the game was called Halo 3, I was immediately hooked. About a year later, I had saved up the money to purchase an Xbox 360, and my uncle, who owned all the Halo games and didn't play them anymore, gifted them to me. I spent hundreds of hours playing the games, almost exclusively on the campaigns. That was until Halo Reach was released. I'm a very hesitant man. I've always dipped my toe before taking the plunge. That's how I treated Halo Reach. I knew it wasn't a mainstream release. My 10-year-old brain didn't even know the Halo significance of the planet Reach in the universe. But I got a copy as a gift from my aunt that was working at Microsoft at the time, and I decided to try the game, at least out of courtesy. It was also the first time I decided to try out matchmaking. I was 11 at the time, in 2012, and I barely understood online gaming that had already been mainstream for years by then. I became addicted to multiplayer, specifically Halo multiplayer that was genuinely challenging and fun. Even today, with the release of Halo Infinite, I still indulge in Halo matchmaking, with the universe's new release. But when I spotted an article stating that as of recording January 13th of the year 2022 was when Halo 3 and Halo Reach's servers would be shut down once and for all, over a decade since both games were released. I was saddened and wished to play the games one last time, to play until the servers were down. That's what I wished, but it didn't happen. I ended up having to work, and my life had to take precedence over playing a video game. Instead, I watched a live stream of a YouTuber that played Halo 3 until the servers were struck, to at least see my favorite games off with a bang. These games were good. Hell, they were great. They gave me an escape and friends I wasn't able to meet in small-town North Dakota. I was given the freedom to swear and curse my fellow man without retort. Now I think I was a cringe-inducing young kid that knew nothing about life, yelling at other kids in the same boat as myself. I remember joining a Halo Reach clan, and that I'd party up with in matchmaking, or we would host tournaments with other clans back in 2013 to 2014, when I lost that account. Back then, I thought I was hacked. These days I know I just forgot the password to my old lost email. I remember the account name to this day, Snarled Sauce. Cringe-inducing, I know. but like most things in my life, it was a part of me I needed to leave behind to go forward. That old account took thousands of hours of my life away, and in hindsight I wish I would have had used that time to not talk to internet friends I only knew through gameplay, but actually be more sociable with the children in my town around my age. It's the story of many young boys of my generation, emotionally stunted due to ever-present persuasive danger of being consumed into video games. Halo Reach stole part of my life, and I have only myself to blame. This material object I invested time into, that I saw today, could just be erased at the flip of a switch. Part of me is going to miss the game. Part of me wishes the band-aid covering the gaping wound would have been ripped off years ago. I say this because a year ago I had found my old Xbox 360 I had lost for a few years now, and it restarted my nostalgia-filled desire to visit Halo Reach. Again, I invested hours of my life, now 20 instead of 12, old back then, into this black hole of an investment of my time. I should have known that it wasn't worth my time, that I would be doing better things, but no, my brain required that dopamine hit again for playing this old game. Initially I wanted to make a video of my disappointment towards 343 instead of disappointment towards myself. I'm disappointed that I still live in the consumerist way of thinking, despite me wishing to shed it for a more traditional mindset. I'm at the end of the day of a shell of a man that has to wear masks because I have no confidence in myself. I believe that's why I've always looked to genuine men, or at least men of authority. Looking back on Halo, I came to understand something subconscious about myself. I always was drawn to men of strength, bravery, and authority. Many figures in military shooters possess some or all of these traits and appeal to young men's natural psyche. Having been in the US Army for 2 years now, I still see this with junior enlisted having their first experience with rank and given authority based upon experience and competence. But looking now, I understand the Spartans of Halo actually have none of these traits. Why do they have strength? Not by personal endurance, hard work, and training, but because they were subjected to body-altering chemicals that changed their very DNA to make them into warriors. They have no natural bravery, as they act robotic towards serving a consumer society that sends them to war so the average man can live in a degenerate lifestyle. They have no natural authority because they have no agency as men to make decisions that will go against ensuring the status quo. I can see now that the elites want this image of masculinity to be sold to young boys being raised without fathers in broken households, instead of true masculinity as seen in a hard-working father providing for his descendants, the priest who sacrifices his pleasure to ensure the purpose of the divine and salvation of his fellow man, or the knight who sacrifices his safety for the safety of others so they may raise their own households in peace, are virtues that are profitable to our elites. Now, this is going to sound controversial, not only to you, my audience, but also myself. Put down video games and pick yourself up for something greater. I have been wondering what I was sent to this earth for at this point in time. When I study history and learn of times with great kings, heroic struggles, and true belief that would be considered fanatical by today's forced secularism, I always wish I was born in a prior era. My mind makes escapisms to past periods, imagining myself as a great general leading armies, a knight riding into the Levant to do battle with the Muslims, or even just having a community that actually believes in only one truth, with no forced acceptance of alien beliefs. But what is missed is that I live today, and my actions have to be in the present. Escaping to a prior age is as toxic as escaping to a fictional universe. It is detaching yourself from the responsibilities of your time, getting married, raising the next generation, supporting your church, laying the stones for the future, fighting for what is true, good, and beautiful, are all of what is required if we want to have a future at all. What I have learned from the greatest men in history is that they understood their work was reaching towards a brighter future, which is more than what I can say for the average millennial or Gen Zer in this day and age. In future videos, I hope to expand upon this topic and delve into reactionary and traditional thought. But frankly, I am still learning what it even means to be a reactionary in such a degenerated world. But I feel that the shutdown of beloved games online servers will at least make some think about the future and how nothing in this world lasts the erosion of time. Thank you guys all for watching this video to the end. I know this was kind of a rambling video and didn't really have a point or purpose besides my own lamenting, but I do intend upon actually making a reactionary review of all the Halo games, at least the ones I enjoyed the most. I don't really have a set schedule for it, but I would much appreciate you hitting the like, subscribe, and bell icon if you intend upon watching more of my content. And until then, guys, thank you all for watching, and have a good day.